but nobody's talking. I just want to say I appreciate those guys being there to help us, and I also appreciate that guest that you had on there from Texas. I think it was last week, because I'm in Texas and I'm wondering how am I going to make it. Everything I do, Texas seemed to make it hard. So it's when you brought that guy on from Texas, saying at least you could do the sandwich options. I mean, not the sandwich, but you could do the lease options, but not the sandwich.
The wholesale.
So that made me feel a little better about Texas, because I'm saying, well, okay, I came to Texas from Wisconsin. I think maybe I better try to do all my lease options in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of between a rock and a hard place here.
Yeah,
that's great. I appreciate the compliments too, Rudolph. Thank you. I'm glad you're getting a lot out of this, and welcome everyone out there to the live Q&A Zoom every Saturday morning. We do at 10 a.m. Central Time right here, YouTube, Facebook, the Real Estate Wholesalers Club. That's who we are. And if we're wanting to get you, we want to help you to get to your shut up money. Yeah. And I call the shut up money, that first deal paycheck. That's that first deal paycheck when you've learned and you've struggled and you've been stuck at YouTube University. Hey, do you relate? Do you relate?
That's me. That's me.
I've been kind of stuck at YouTube University before, and I want to get you. I want to help get you out of there and get you into your shut up money. And so what we have here today is a wonderful expose of the automated REI, which you're taking a look at right now. We have special guests with us here, Michael Batista. He is the owner and operator, I guess you could say. He's the creator, the inventor. That's the word I like. I like that word, inventor.
Yeah,
he's the inventor. He's the Thomas Edison of this shit right here, guys. Or maybe he's the Nikola Tesla nowadays. But anyway, the automated REI, if you are not familiar with it, stay tuned. Give us a little bit of your time this morning, because this is how you are going to produce motivated seller leads. Okay. This is how I produce motivated seller leads. This is how my students, my one-on-one coaching students, they produce seller leads. This is how everybody that I talk to that says, hey, how do you produce seller leads? This is how they produce seller leads, because this is what I tell them to go do. Why? For a number of reasons. One, it's simple. Okay. Very simple. Once you get the swing of it, it only take a few minutes. Very simple. Number two, very affordable. Shoot, guys, you cannot beat the price. Mm-hmm. And I've heard people say, well, I wish they could add this. I wish they could upgrade this. I wish they could do this. Yes, they are working on many of those things. And we're here to talk about what it does currently, but we're also here to talk about what they're going to do to it, what they're planning on doing to it and all that. But guys, for the price, it is a gold mine. It is a steal. Okay. So I'm going to open the floor, and we're going to let Michael Batista and Tusif, his head tech support guy, we're going to let them kind of take a little demo tour, talk about why they did it, what it is, how it works, how you should be using it. And then we're also going to allow you guys at the same time to go ahead and chime in, unmute your microphones if you're in the Zoom room and your camera. If you're in the chat, in the comments, you're out there in the cyber world, like Alepha is. Good morning to you. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, Andy. Good morning, John. Everyone out there, thank you for watching. Put your questions in the chat. I'll do my best to get them out during this session. Okay, we're going to spend about probably an hour here. So let's just jump right in to how to create leads with the automated REI. Welcome, Michael. Welcome to
Thank you. Thank you very much, Justin. I appreciate you, putting this on and having us here. Just real quick, I'll kind of correct the title. Tusif is pretty much the operations manager of the platform at this point. He's kind of stepped into that role. He works directly with our developers. He handles tech support, customer, questions and inquiries. So he really kind of has a full grip on the whole operation of this platform. So that's why I wanted to make sure that he was on this this call as well. So to Steve, thank you very much for taking the time out of your day as well for jumping on with us, buddy.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. So, typically what I would do is just kind of do a general overview of the platform, just kind of give folks, the opportunity to take a look at it. Now, a couple of things. I know, Justin, you primarily are focusing on a lot of your coaching is lease option oriented. I know you do wholesaling as well. You want me to just kind of explain more of the lease option side, and then we'll go into wholesaling, or how do you want me to do that?
Yeah, that's a great way to approach this, Michael, because there are a lot of people that do ask me questions about ugly house wholesaling with this tool. And, so yeah, let's dive into that, but also, let's not abandon the lease options, because, I love it for that. It's a great machine for using it to generate leads for lease options. Also, man, if you got some time to do it today, dive in a little bit about how people can come up with things like an expired listings list, things like that. Because sometimes I tell folks, hey, if you're going to be in the lease option game, get you an expired listings, get a list together, and then, do a little mail piece, or do a skip trace and a blast or a call or something, reach out to those people. So yeah, excellent, guys. Let's talk about some of those topics. Let's dive right in. Go ahead. Take. Sorry, I talk too much.
No, you're good. I appreciate that guidance here. So for those who may have seen some of our demonstrations in the past, when we first started this platform, the main focus for me was really, I created this platform because I was tired of paying all the other gurus for their systems. That's basically what it came down to. They're very expensive. I knew that I could do this at a more affordable rate, not only for me, but eventually I got to the point where, hey, I think I could have a reasonable enough margin where I can, hopefully make some money, but still bring it out there at an affordable price for everyone. So initially when we started, it was with lease options, owner finance, hybrid, in mind. And that's kind of what I found the best list for that was more so like Craigslist and Zillow, because it was more easily accessible data. It was just something that we, scraped from the internet. And so we developed kind of like a super scraper to begin with. And now we've established some partnerships and things of that nature to make sure that the platform is more stable than early versions of it. So then as time progressed here, we wanted to break more into the wholesaling space where folks were approaching us, hey, can I use this for wholesaling? Well, you could, but to find a wholesale deal on Zillow and Craigslist where everyone has kind of seen that listing, it just was significantly more difficult to get a deal at 40, 50, 60, 70 cents on the dollar. That's kind of where you got to be in order to make money in that wholesaling space. So that's when we've more recently added on the off market lists, so expired listings, absentee owners, vacant properties, things of that nature. Pretty much anything that that you want, we can pretty much get for you now, and we do that in a very affordable rate. Currently we're on a pay-as-you-go platform, so there's no monthly fees currently. So we've kind of lowered the barrier of entry for folks to really just get in and more or less kind of control your costs, especially if you're new. And I get it. I know Justin works with a lot of newer folks as well. And trying to, scrounge together, 50, $100 a month even can get scary on top of, that's just subscription fees, but on top of, that you have to also pay money for marketing. So you're into $200-$300 a month. You may or may not have that. So that's kind of why we lowered that barrier. We're on a pay-as-you-go entry right now, and it's really to raise awareness for the platform. And
I tell people they can get started in this business with between 50 and $100 with this machine to get started.
Yeah.
To give you leads to work, to call, and you're not worried about, oh, I've only got 3 leads.
And why don't we break down that too? That's a good point. So $50 to $100, where exactly does that go? Right? What am I getting for 50 to $100?
Yeah.
Okay. And what I typically recommend is kind of a bare minimum, Justin. And I know you kind of explain this as well. Go with at least a list of 500 to 1,000. Okay, of Craigslist listings or Zillow or maybe a mixture of both. Now, of course, Justin being, putting this on as a mentor coach, he's going to have his own specific strategies of where he wants you to invest. And I'm sure that's something he goes on in his live calls and maybe his one-on-ones. But what I typically recommend, and Justin, you can certainly jump in on this, try to stay in a city that has at least 50,000 population, maybe more. That way, if you do get a deal, it better ensures to make sure you can move that. So again, that's more in the lease option space. But what we look at, what you're getting for 50 to $100. If we break that down, I know to see if you can help me along with this as well. Currently, I think our listings are on Craigslist are 3 cents a piece. So if you pull a list if you pull a list of 1,000, you're basically 3 cents, 1,000. It's basically $30 right there.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. And then texting, currently we're offering it at 1 cent per text sent and 1 cent per text received. And so if you're sending 1,000 texts or pulling 1,000 lists and then sending those 1,000 texts as well, 1,000 times 10, well, basically we're at $40. Okay. And usually we're experiencing a 30 to 50% response rate on most of those Craigslist listings, even Zillow. They're pretty much equal in terms of what we're getting on response rates. So 30 to 50%, figure 300 to 500 respond, so we're in at about 43, $45. Okay. That's kind of what you're getting for that $50 price point. And so out of 300 to 500 to respond, Justin, I'm going to ask you to chime in here. What message, when you're doing the rent to own, right? When you're teaching people to do lease options, do you have a specific message you are telling your students to send out?
Yes, I do have a specific message, and for lease options in particular that I recommend, and you can cater it a little bit to your specific situation, but for the most part, it gives you the idea. And actually, good point. You can find that over at the realestatewholesalersclub.com in the free training section. You'll find that in the free trainings and up for the lease options. And it's in the materials for those courses, and it's in the seller call notes. So if you're looking for that, you can find it. But yeah, pretty simple message.
Perfect. So, and it sounds something like, hey, would you consider selling your house as a rent to own? I'm definitely interested. Yeah, something along those lines. And usually, if you end the text message with a question, you're going to get a better response. Okay. Now we do use 10-digit phone numbers, so it's not coming through as a 5-digit Pepsi short code. I'm sure everyone's familiar with that, where you get all these short codes now from Facebook and email logins and everything. That's a short code. It's a 5-6-digit thing. We make sure our platform goes through with 10-digit phone numbers, so you're going to get a really high response rate. You're going to come off as a human. Those things really are important when you're doing your text marketing. Of course, you can take the data and use it for other types of marketing, email addresses and if you're doing any kind of calling, cold calling and such, that certainly will be something else. But we primarily are focusing on text messaging here. And then Justin helps with the calling. I know he teaches the gut sales method, which is phenomenal there too. So really hand in hand. But as far as that $50 price range, again, 1,000 texts, usually 300 to 500 responses. That's about where you're at with $50. And you're going to get 300 to respond. On average, that'd be a low average. You can experience 40 to 50% even if your message is very good. And out of those, what I've found is usually about 20 to 30% of your total responses. So 20 to 30% of 300 would be about 60 to 90, roughly, are going to actually reply back and say, yeah, I would consider that. Now, your numbers can fluctuate if you have a more defined list. If you just are sending it out mass, and don't have a lot of filters, you're definitely going to get that higher number. But if you're getting more defined, especially if you get, let's say half that, let's say 30 leads out of 1,000 texts, that's phenomenal. I don't know any other platform for $50 you can get that. So especially direct mail. Justin's
exactly
a little bit on that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a great way to get started, y'all. Super good way to get started because of the affordability of it, because of the convenience of the timing of it. You can schedule the day and the hour that you want to start having leads. It's nuts. I mean, rewind the clock back 10 years, guys, and this did not exist. I mean, we are sitting. Listen, if you're not doing real estate because you can't come up with leads, that's an excuse. Let's just call it what it is. It's an excuse, because nowadays you could get something out of your house, sell it on eBay, have enough money to start a real estate business. Boom.
Right.
That's it. All right. Sorry.
No,
off the soapbox.
No, you're absolutely right. And again, that's really just kind of touching on lease options. A wholesaling message might sound considerably different. I don't personally wholesale. I know Justin teaches that, so he probably has a text message or something in that training that he can tell folks here, or refer to them on what they would say. But really, again, that's on the lease options, the owner financing side. If we are getting into wholesaling too, we offer any kind of list that you would want. And we're offering to see if you want to kind of chime in on that. What pricing are we in on for skip tracing and just off market lists?
Yeah, so list pulling is just 2 cents per record, and we offer 3 types of skip tracing. That's tier 1 and tier 2 and tier 3. So tier 3 is the best skip tracing we have. We pull it from the TLO, and that's 5 cents a piece. And tier 2 is we pull it from being verified, so that's a 3.5 cents per piece. And the cheapest skip tracing service we have, that's a tier 1 level, and it's just 2 cents a piece.
And just to kind of add on that, so tier 1 was really designed to kind of get people in the door. It's not, I would definitely say it's not the premier, but if you're just looking for a lot of phone numbers to call or text right off the bat, it's a great source for you. But if you're really focused, if you really, want to get the best quality data, that's where we certainly do recommend our tier 3. And that's using credit bureau data quality. Or credit bureau quality data, excuse me. And usually you're getting up to 7 phone numbers per listing or per pull. Of course, you get the name, address, up to 7 numbers, and usually 2 email addresses with that. And it's a very high append rate. It's usually right around 80+%. So it's very
Michael,
good.
Can you take a country boy like me and explain to me what it is that everybody's talking about with this stuff? And they're like, is it LexisNexis quality? I don't even know. LexisNexis, Hexis, Wexis. What the hell is this? What is this? I thought it was a phone company.
So yeah, and that's a great point. There's a few different companies out there that are considered premier. I'm not talking about, you know, the different skip tracing companies. I'm really talking about who are these skip tracing companies getting their data from, right? So there's CoreLogic. CoreLogic is basically who ListSource gets all their data from. Okay, that's who PropStream gets their data from. That's who RealFlow gets their data from. So on and so forth. Everyone goes through CoreLogic. Okay. Now there's a lot of hoops and a lot of different things you got to jump through in order to be able to get access to that. So we actually pull our data from a CoreLogic source. Okay. So basically when we have the same kind of data that all these other guys have, we're just offering that at a more affordable rate. Okay. And the skip tracing, there's really 3-4 main companies out there. So TLO, okay. There's LexisNexis. They're basically right on the same level. Experian, and then there's a fourth one called IDI Core. Okay. Now we are actually going in, just to correct 2C. We don't go through TLO. We actually go through a company called IDI Core. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
So
we go through IDI Core.
Yep. IDI Core is a company that came on the map really, I believe, around 10 years ago. And what happened was IDI Core's founders actually owned a company called TLO. Okay. Now TLO actually sold their business to TransUnion. Okay. So TransUnion being the credit bureau, but then they have their sister brand now, TLO, and that's their skip tracing. Okay. So once the founders of TLO sold their company, after their non-compete clause, basically wore off, they went and founded IDI Core. Okay. So they've got all the founders of TLO, basically everyone, all the big players are now founding IDI Core. So they have essentially the same quality data. So now there's 4 big players in that space. So Experian, TLO, LexisNexis, IDI Core. So we're going through IDI Core, and it allows us to get that high quality 80+% append rate, which is very important, especially if you're doing wholesaling. So, and we're able to pull that, like I said, on every different kind of list that you want. So you basically just tell us what you want. So, and I'll go through kind of an overview of kind of how to do these different types of scrapes, but wanted to just take a few minutes here, just kind of open the floor. Are there any questions up to this point that we can kind of address? So whether it be lease options or wholesaling, data in general.
I have a question.
Okay. Awesome. Bring on the questions, guys. Rick is up first, right? Is this Rick?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. California, saying good morning to everyone.
Yeah, welcome,
Hey,
Rick.
Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate
what you got for us?
Hey, Michael, I have not used your skip tracing service, but is there a sample format that we would need to submit to you in order for you to skip trace, like certain fields that you need on the Excel file and things like that?
Yeah, and that's a great question, and actually that's something that I'll ask 2C to kind of answer there. I know we go through a couple different formats, and I know it has to have at least name and address. But 2C, if you want to kind of chime in there, is there anything specific?
Yeah, you can basically you can upload any type of format, but the file you are uploading, that must have at least the name column, the address column, the property address, and the property zip code column, and the property city column, and the property state. So that's 5. So name, property address, property city, property state, and property zip code. That's the 5 column we need at least. But you can upload, and if you have any, if your file has any additional columns, we can do that. Our team has the ability to separate the columns and do the skip tracing.
Gotcha. Okay.
And real quick, just to chime in there too, Rick, basically what you're looking at with with different lists. I know there's like PropStream, for example. You can pull in. I know Justin promotes PropStream, and I believe
Yeah,
maybe
PropStream. Let me. I have a. So if you are getting list from PropStream, you don't have to change anything. You can just download the list from that, and you can just send us. We know the PropStream. We have a built-in template for PropStream, so you don't have to change anything.
Yeah.
Awesome.
and,
Hey,
and
you
most
gotta love
list
2C,
formats.
man. Sorry guys,
Exactly.
but you gotta love 2C. Isn't he awesome?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like he's the coolest dude in the world. And I feel real good about it. Having him in our VIP chat room all the time, man. He's super, super helpful there, man. Hey, we love you, 2C. Thanks for being here, man.
And can I,
Yeah, thank you. Thank
can
you
I
very
ask,
much.
can I ask what the turnaround time is for, let's say, 100, 200, 500 skips?
Yeah, the standard time is 24 hours, but usually it does not take more than 8 to 10 hours. But standard time is still 24 hours.
Gotcha. And I already know the answer to this, but I still want to throw it out there. You guys are not reselling any data. Anybody that submits a list to you and things like that, you're skipping it. It's all private. It's returned back to us. Nothing else is done with that data.
No,
Correct?
Correct.
definitely not.
Right.
We don't do
We don't do any marketing or anything like that to your data. Basically, if you submit something to us that stays on the platform, we're not taking that off and sending it out to the Philippines to try and drive our own deals. No, that's definitely not something that we do.
I have a
And
question.
then just to kind of add on that, what it comes down to is, integrity. We want to make sure that yes, we have an affordable platform for everyone, but we also want to make sure that we are providing excellent customer service. So if there are issues, if there's questions, or if there's anything that ever comes up that you're not quite sure about, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to 2C. We have multiple different ways to send in an inquiry. You can do a ticket right on our website here. You can send us an email directly, support at the automated REI, or you can text or call our number 608-432-5606. And that's a direct line to both 2C and I. So we handle those, and typically we respond to those inquiries or questions usually within just a couple of hours. So we're really on top of our stuff.
Hey, Michael, I've got a couple questions for you.
Sure, go ahead, James.
Okay. First of all, if you have the address already in a format where it's, address, city, state, zip, all in one thing, like what you might copy and paste off of what you see in Zillow or some other things, is it possible to upload that instead of having to separate it into city, state, zip code, address?
Yeah, and to see if you want to kind of answer that as well. I know we have taken in multiple different lists from multiple different sources, and usually we can make that work. But I'm going to let 2C kind of handle that.
Yeah. So hey, are you talking about that the address, the zip codes, and the state are in the same column? Right?
Exactly. Yes.
Unfortunately, not at the moment. We don't have that ability to separate the columns like the address. We need the street address in the separate column, the zip code in the separate column, and what's like the city in the separate column. But yes, we are making adjustment that even if the address, city, state, and zip are in the same column, we will do it by ourselves, but not at the moment. So at the moment, the address, the city, the state, and the zip, they should be in the separate columns.
And if you don't mind me asking, what source do you get your list from that does that? Because I'll take a look and see if there's a way for us to maybe quickly or efficiently try and work with that list type. Maybe we can create some code or something like that on our back end to once we get that list, it just adjusts for us real quick.
Okay, well, if I were to copy, I think from PropStream and or from Zillow, it's pretty much all in one single line instead of, well, you have the ability to be able to copy the whole thing. So it makes it easier when you're working with Zillow to just copy the whole address instead of having to put in city, state, and all that.
Gotcha. Okay, so I see exactly what you mean. So you just real quick copying it, throwing it in an Excel or something like that, and then moving on to the next. So basically what we do is, so of course we do pull Zillow Zillow data. If you want us to pull that list for you, we can certainly do that. If you have a list like that, you know, we could probably figure out a way to have that formatted properly, but it will take some man hours for us to do it. It really just depends on the size of your list, how many you need done. But I'll discuss that with Tusif, you know, after our call and see what we can do for you.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to ask you, and I had asked to see this a while ago, so you guys have probably already discussed it, but we're in South Carolina. We did a scrape. We got about 222 leads off of Craigslist and only, I think, maybe 34 leads or something off of Zillow. So it wasn't very much. So I'm kind of starved for a constant source of leads. So I was wondering if you guys had discussed maybe being able to pull from Facebook Marketplace and or from for sale by owner, because that's our target market, is for salebyowner.com.
Right. So currently you were trying to pull data from for salebyowner.com, is that what you said?
Well, I'd love to be able to, but I don't have the software or whatever to be able to do that.
All right, let me just make a note of that. Currently we don't do for salebyowner.com, but I know we've had some inquiries about that in the past. As far as how much data or how many listings are on there versus not being on Zillow, I haven't really found a need up to this point. But if more folks, again, we've been working on this platform for almost 3 years, you know, at least 2. And if there's been a shift or a change in the marketplace where they're taking their data off of Zillow and maybe going on for sale by owner, you know, we can go ahead and do a reanalysis of what the market is doing. If there's really a reasonable situation where we should start focusing on for salebyowner.com as well, then by all means, that's something that we will do. Most listings, again, this is within the past couple of years, I've found that the most for sale by owner listings are on Zillow versus any other platform, aside from maybe Craigslist being a classified ad site. And now, to touch on your Facebook Marketplace, we actually are working on that. It's funny enough, we just started talking about that early this week, and kind of putting in a plan to figure out how can we make that data actually usable. Because right now, if you're on Facebook Marketplace, the majority of those listings, if someone has put their phone number or their email in that listing, usually Facebook will block it out. You know, so really, there's only a few sources of data on that we can kind of consider tangible. Whereas, you know, we basically are looking at the Facebook listing, you know, the ID, the seller's name or whomever created that post, and then the location. And every once in a while, they'll throw an address in the title. So if we can pull that, we can do that as well. So we are working on how can we take that raw data and convert it into an actual usable form. And so we think we might be able to do like a reverse skip trace on that. But we are still heavily testing that, you know, that process to see if that's even an option for us. Also, and Justin, if you would please, do you have your students, or do you talk about going after any for rent by owner type listings? Do you do that?
Yeah.
Or are you mostly
absolutely.
sell by owner? Or?
Yep, absolutely. Here's one, for example. Janet Franklin put it in the chat. She said, I got 914 Craigslist scrapes and still working on it. Any problems I ever had, you guys jumped right on it and fixed it. So she's giving props to you guys. And then she said, and I only paid $27 for that. So
Yeah.
that's
wow.
not, you know, it's ridiculous. It's
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Janet. But yeah, absolutely. I tell people to start with the for sale by owners, and then we practice there. And typically I'll have them flow from the for sale by owners on Zillow over to the Craigslist where they'll do for sale by owner and for rent by owner both. And typically that's enough to get started in any market that's, like you said, 50,000 population or bigger. And then also, you know, there's some other things that you could be doing to market your business. If you're going to try to have a local business, you know, you're going to want to use several different marketing techniques, but this is a great one to always have running and to start with and to always have running in the background.
And just one thing I want to add to that. So currently on our platform, you're able to pull all of the for rent by agents on Zillow, and of course all the for rents that are on Craigslist. We're actually going to be adding to that, and to see if you can help me with the time frame on this. We talked about basically taking the for rents that are on Zillow and further converting those and actually getting the raw data for the owner, the underlying owner, instead of the agent. So you could contact those, you know, again, email, phone number.
Yeah, we are still working on that. Yeah, and it may take a couple of more weeks before we start providing it to the user end, right? It may take a couple of weeks.
So you'll be able to, and just kind of add to that. So you'll be able to come on now. As soon as that's done, again, within a couple of weeks, you won't have to worry about going directly to for rent by agent. You'll be able to just click on for rent, and it will give you basically the owner's phone number and email for several of them. So you'll be able to actually use that as kind of a raw texting type data, just as you would the for sale by owners and you know, of course, the Craigslist listings. So we are definitely working on that. And then of course the Facebook marketplace, we've had a lot of inquiries about it. So we are taking a serious look and seeing how can we make that data usable. Again, I don't know if it's going to be good enough to be able to offer to the market, really, because I'm not sure how effective it's going to be to just do a reverse skip trace based on a name and a location. So that's kind of that's really the struggle. So we're still testing that, still looking at it seriously. And if we get a reasonable percentage, I think if we can get at least even 50%, you know, that might be decent enough, because I know a lot of folks are really wanting that Facebook marketplace. So, but if I can't really get at least 50%, you know, it might be something that we don't bring out. But we'll definitely analyze it very closely, and if we think that there's a way to really bring that out, we are certainly going to do that.
Hey, Michael, I got just one more comment. My experience in the past with for sale by owners is that a lot of them were actually asking more than market value for their houses, and they're not typically, at least from my experience back in the 2000s, they were not as willing to do any kind of discounting as would, you know, like an off-market property. So people are experiencing the same thing, but I've found that I've just found that FSBO's, you know, could be a good market for lease options. And you had mentioned earlier that, you know, wholesaling is more difficult with Zillow and with Craigslist, but I'm wondering if other people are having the same experience with not being able to negotiate down people that are for sale by owner.
Yeah, and actually that's a good point. So that's why I really got into this space originally. Was I like not having to go and try and, you know, get a deal at 40 cents on the dollar or 60 cents on the dollar, right? I could help homeowners. I could help folks that are, you know, real close to over leverage. There's a reason that they can't, you know, sell at a lower price, and it's not always greed. Sometimes it's they don't have the ability to take less because they're leveraged up to their ears, right? So for them to just get out of it, you know, that might be their only option. So lease options are perfect for that. As far as, having the ability to help those folks, really the for sale by owners, just you got to go and you got to talk to them. And Justin obviously teaching the gut sales method. There's ways to have that conversation with those owners to see if there's even an option. If they're not willing, ready, willing, or able to consider something creative, then they're just probably not motivated enough. And that's where you kind of put them in your follow-up, your follow-up toolbox on your CRM or however you choose to do your follow-up. And I know Justin talks about follow-up and things of that nature too. The nice thing about this platform is usually you're going to have more than enough leads than you'll know what to do with. So you might not have to worry as much about follow-up, but it's still good to have, to check in with folks that you've touched, the last 30 days, 60 days, because you never know. Situation might change. Another mortgage payment or two hit their bank account. They start getting more motivated. Yeah, they might consider, doing something now, and maybe even going into a sandwich lease or a subject too. You never know. But you definitely don't want to be above the median is what it comes down to in order to execute that type of deal. Okay. You don't want to buy a $500,000 house and do a sub 2 on it. You want to be right in that, blue collar neighborhood, 100,000 to 200,000. And of course that's going to vary a little bit market to market. But again, that's something Justin talks about very closely in his training and things of that nature. So that's really what I recommend personally. Now, okay. As far as solving those, every deal is going to be a little bit different. You can come in with a general plan, but that's where guts is great, because you can take that conversation however which way, and you're trained and you understand, and know what to do and what to say. So that's why it's really, really great to see Justin kind of take that on and offer that to his students.
Yeah.
So thank you, Justin, for doing that, man. I know a lot of folks on here probably wouldn't be where they're at if they wasn't for your help. So.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, man. Thank you very much. Also, I wanted to add that the additions that you guys made to the automated REI a few months ago, when you added the skip tracing and list building sections and all that, you've really done well, man. I mean, that's a good thing right there. And we're all still trying to kind of figure out how to use some of these tools. Like you were like, how do we use some of this in our business? I mean, because you're starting to offer so many things. It's just really incredible. I'm really honored to know you fellas and to kind of be we're not partnered up or anything like that, but I mean, I feel like you're kind of partnered up with me here. I mean, we're working together. You've got a great tool and I've got some great students, and I don't make any money off of that referral and you don't make any money off of my referral, but man, we are kind of partnered up like that. And I'm really thankful, man. I'm very thankful, very grateful for the tool. I'm very grateful for you and for Two-Seaf and all the hard work you guys have put in this, all the money and the time. Can you imagine, guys, what kind of money it takes to build a machine like this? So I don't know, over in the YouTube, you might want to tell us, but you don't have to. That in the YouTube, there's a lot of chat going on. How many phone numbers do you get with skip tracing is a question that's come in. And I think you said what is it, about 7 that comes in with the tier 3, the best tier?
Yeah. So we basically are looking at tier 2 and tier 3 kind of being the solid, really the best. Tier 2, you're really looking at about a 70+% append rate. So if you send us a list of 100, usually we can get about 70 of those listings to actually pull phone numbers for us. And plus, it's not exactly 70. And sometimes it's a little bit less, sometimes it's a little bit more, but that average 70% is 70+% is a really solid number on that tier 2. So usually you get multiple phone numbers with that. I think 3 to 5, and usually you get at least one email address with that as well. So again, that's our tier 2. Tier 3, you're going to get up to 7 phone numbers. Okay. And usually 2 email addresses on those appends, and that's 80+%. So there is a difference. There's about a penny and a half difference between the two. But if you're really looking for the best data, sometimes it's worth it just to pay a couple cents more in order to land another deal. So it really just comes down to where you're at with budget, and that's kind of why we introduced the multi-tier, because we're trying to help folks, especially newer folks that don't have a lot of money in their budget. Yeah. Trying to break away from the 9 to 5, that sort of thing. That's really what it comes down to. So yeah, again, what I recommend, if you're really just looking for the best quality data, try and stick with that tier 3. It's 5 cents per listing, and if you do need lists as well, of course we do offer that. Any kind of list that you want, we can pretty much have access to and get. So,
Hey, Michael, I got one more question for you.
Sure.
What do you think about? I know that PropStream offers this, and several other companies will offer this too. But what about scraping for vacant properties? Greg and I had both purchased from separate sources lists of quote unquote vacant property, and we discovered that about 80% of the ones that they claimed to be vacant weren't vacant. But I'm wondering if that could also still be a good lead source.
That's a great question. It's really going to depend on the market. I mean, every market's a little bit different, and I know Justin, if you want to chime in on this as well, feel free. But vacant or absentee owners, or that particular list has always been, from what I understand, and again, I don't personally wholesale right now, but I know Justin's been doing that a long time, and he's been doing mailers and things. He's tried everything, right? I know that absentee owner or vacant property has always kind of been the #1 target list for wholesalers. Now, in the past maybe couple of years, that's changed a little bit, but it's always been a heavy hitter on that. What would you say about that, Dustin?
I would say that it's very beat up, that list. Yeah, I was going to see if you were going to say the same thing I was thinking, but very beat up list, very much used a lot by every wholesaler there is out there. If you're going to use a list like that, I don't recommend mailing them. That's what everyone else is doing, and they're getting 12 postcards a day, and all of them are not being read. They're hitting the spot right at the bottom of the garbage can. So they're not, it's not necessarily effective. It is effective, but not really incredibly effective, and I would say not efficient. Okay. So if you're going to do absentee owner or vacant properties, the best bet, in my opinion, is to skip trace and call. If you want the deal, okay, that's the thing. If you want the deal, you skip trace and call. Do you have any advice on that, Michael? And can we do that with this machine?
So currently the platform is just set up for texting, so we don't offer.
Oh, yeah. Text call. That's what I mean. I'm sorry. I'm leading up to a conversation that gets the deal though. So, but yeah, right. If you have to text them first, yeah, no problem. But you can get the list, you can skip trace them, and you can text them, correct?
Absolutely. And to add to that, we did add a feature, a few months ago, where you can get real defined with your text message. So let's say you have a list of 1,000, right? The texting platform is sophisticated enough to read your list, okay? And whatever your message is, whatever your template message is, you can, like, let's just for example, hey, I saw your house, I was driving down the street and I saw it appeared to be vacant, I'm definitely interested in buying it. If you'd be willing to consider an offer, I'd love to buy it. Call me at such and such number. Now, of course, that's chopped up. I don't do a lot of wholesaling. Like I said, that's not really my niche. But that message will change person to person considerably. So, but what we do allow is, instead of just saying, "Hey, I saw your house," you could say, "Hey, John," and we allow you to insert the name, right? So you could say, "Hey, John, saw your house at 123 Main Street in, Nebraska, right? In Omaha, Nebraska, and I was interested in considering, offering you an option to sell that property to me." So you could basically go in, have a customized text message. It caters to how you want it. You want to do it. So you can insert name, address, city, state, zip. To see if you want to add on that. Are there any other inserts on that we allow currently, or is it pretty much that focal point of the name and the addresses?
Yeah, if you name addresses, cities, so let's say it really depends on the list. Let's say they want to upload a list which they don't get from our software. Let's say they get the list from the PropStream or some other list source. So there can be multiple fields with a different name. There might be name, there might be city, they might ask like, "Hey, my offer is like $550,000 or $200,000. Would you sell it like that?" So name, city, address, state, and their custom field also. So let's say they have a header name, anything other than the city, name, address. So they can add it like custom 1, custom 2, custom 3, custom 4. So we have the ability to add 15 different customized fields.
Nice. Okay, so yeah, and that's gonna really, when you're targeting that off market list, you might not always get the right person, but generally that 70 to 80%, a pen rate is really going to be where you want, because this person doesn't have, you have to kind of think of this homeowner. Okay, they don't have their property listed on the market. They're not expecting to be called or texted by you by any means, right? So the more defined you can get within that text, they can be like, "Oh, okay, I know what this person's really trying to do. Let me either call them or block them." That's really, or text them back, is really what it comes down to. But yes, absolutely. When it comes down to wholesaling, we do have that, and you can also use that customized field on on Zillow and Craigslist as well. We allow you to do any kind of inserts that cater to any and all those platforms. So we have built it up for that.
We've got questions in the YouTube chat. Tell us again quickly what the 3-tier costs are for the skip tracing, tiers 1, 2, and 3. What are those costs again per record?
Absolutely.
I said it like 2, Steve.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Per record.
Tier 1 is just 2 cents. Tier 2 is 3.5 cents, and tier 3 is 5 cents a piece.
There you go, guys. There you go. And are these? Where do you find the information about the different tiers for skip tracing? Is that in the skip tracing tab over there on the menu section of the automatedrei.com? Guys, go over there and sign up for an account and take a look. It's free to sign up. Okay, it's not going to cost you anything. It's not going to bite you. You just got to put your name and email in there, I think, and get going and take a look at it. Dive in, just take a tour, look around, get used to it a little bit. So yeah, it's all there. It's either that or it's on this video.
Absolutely.
Or it's on the previous video we did. We did a previous video, Michael and I, where we went through and we demoed and I answered some of your questions about what message to send out. By the way, that's at realestatewholesalersclub.com. In the free training section, but there's another video on YouTube in the tools. If you go to my channel, go to the playlist on my channel. At the bottom, there's tools and agreements playlist. There's an expose of this tool that we did before, and it will answer some of your questions as well. There's too much to handle in 1 hour, but I definitely go into more demo territory with that video. This one here has been more Q&A, and let's just keep it going. Is there any other questions out there right now?
And real quick to go ahead and answer that question. So I did notice, if you go down, you click on skip tracing, we don't actually have the pricing like pop up. It should pop up here for us. So I will get that added to the site as an urgent update. But yes, tier 1, that's going to be 2 cents. Tier 2 will be 3.5 cents, and tier 3 will be 5 cents. Now, if you do want lists as well, you can come over to list pulling and fill out. It's just a short form. You fill out this form based on what you want, and then if you have any specific notes that you want to type to us, we can do that. So we combine tier 1, 2, and 3. So if you want lists, normally we sell lists at 2 cents a piece. So we'll give you a little bit of a break on that list cost if you also do the skip tracing with us. So if you buy a list plus skip trace, normally it would be 2 cents plus 2 cents on skip tracing for tier 1. But we actually do it at 3 cents, so we cut you a penny break. And tier 2, we do it at 4 cents, so we give you a discount there as well. And tier 3, so we're really just charging you 1 cent for that actual list. Now, if you have your own lists, then again the standard pricing applies. But if you want us to pull those lists for you, we're happy to do that.
Yeah, you can't beat that. You can't beat that. I'll put it in country boy terms. You can't beat that with a big ugly stick. You
Hey,
can't.
Michael.
Yeah. Hey, Rick.
Hey, if I requested like a list of 500 records and let's say only 400 records pull up, would that extra charge for 100 records just go into my account so I could use it later?
You mean 500 records for lists, or?
Yeah. Like if I requested 500 and I went ahead and paid to process it, but then you guys did your search and only 400 showed up, and I paid for 500. So would there be an extra there that's just put into my account, like the account wallet?
Yeah, and actually, to see, I'll let you go ahead and kind of answer that. How would that exactly work for each user?
Yeah, so unfortunately, by default, if you request a 500 list, and if there are only 400 available, you would be delivered 400, but you would still be charged 500, right? Because we don't have any automated system, right, for that. But yes, you can request. Let's say if you are 500, but you only get 400, but you can request through email or through text message that you only get 400, and we would definitely put that money back into your account.
Yeah. So, and actually, that's a good point here too. So we'll go ahead and design a system that way you don't have to create or go through that step of it making a request.
Yeah,
so if there's only 400 and we're looking at this order here, again, this is just a short form, and we fulfill that order if it's only 400, but you put in here, I want 500. 500 will basically just automatically put that into your wallet. So the next list that you choose to do, it'll just automatically be added as a credit.
You guys are awesome.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for bringing that up. And to see, thanks for going over that.
Yeah. I was just like, what other tool out there can you, in what other club can you be in where you can actually sit down with Q&A and ask the dudes that own the tools that we use anything you want? I mean, and these guys are touchable. I mean, these are real people here. So It's incredible, guys. I mean, what we have here is an opportunity beyond what any of us thought it would even be to when we first got started, myself included. And I'm just honored to be here. Are there any more questions out there, guys?
I have a question about texting real quick.
Okay,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Is it possible to change the outgoing number that shows up on a text message? So if I have,
Yes, I got it. Yeah, definitely you can change it. So if you go to SMS campaign page, so you would see a option. There would be a drop down menu under the My number. If you click that, you can change the number for a specific campaign. Yes, you can definitely do that. You can even purchase multiple phone numbers. So let's say you are sending text messages to a different markets and you want to use a different number. Yes, you can do that.
To see if would it be possible to allow for, okay, so let's say I send out an SMS campaign, it goes to a particular phone number, but they decide to call back from a different phone number. That's not going to allow me to receive a voicemail from them, right?
Yeah, I got it. Definitely, you will only be receive the voicemail if they contacted you from the same number from on which you send text.
Right. Would it be possible to add that as an option so that in case that does happen, we wouldn't miss that call, or that we could also potentially use that for?
Yeah, I have been working with my team on that. I have also received a couple of requests from other customers also. And yes, definitely we will, once we do the update, definitely you will be able to receive the voicemail even if the number is not in the list, right? Yeah. And
Okay.
thank you for letting me know. I will make it a priority.
Okay. Now, is the list pulling, is that just for, um, is that for scraping? Do you have um, more instructions as far as what the list pulling does and how to use it?
Yeah, a list pulling is not exactly a scraping. So that's off market data. Michael, can you please go ahead and explain it?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's really three primary main categories. So you have your Zillow, okay, and that's just purely the Zillow platform. Then you have Craigslist, just being Craigslist, and then you have list pulling, which fully encompasses all off-market lists, okay, which is your absentee owners, it's your pre-foreclosures, it's your expired listings, et cetera, et cetera. So anything that falls into off-market off-market lists, that's what list pulling will give you. So whatever you want there, you just come on to list pulling. Let's say you want to target a vacant owner or absentee owner. You basically fill out this form with your information, list type. Of course, you have some pre-selections. You can do others as well. For some reason it's not on here. State, county, city, zip. It's all pretty self-explanatory, but really the notes are going to what kind of separates your list. If you have specific requirements on there, like if you want to stack lists or do anything of that nature, or you want to, let's say you want vacant property, but you also want them to have 50+% equity, put that in here on your notes, right? That's called list stacking. Okay. And you can do that. There's so many different ways to stack it. I could probably spend several minutes or hours maybe potentially going over. But that's a tactic that a lot of really high end heavy hitter wholesalers do. They list stack, and they are able to more closely target the most the most motivated potential sellers. So that way you're not doing a blanket market, you're getting more defined. So we can help you with that. Just put in there exactly what you want, and if there's a way for us to go through and stack that exactly as you want, we will.
Okay, so those are manually done then, right? Those are not automated?
So we actually have a tool on the back end that we have access to that it is automated, but we have to handle it in our backend system. Once we fulfill that process, then we go ahead and upload it to your dashboard. Now, dashboard.
Yeah, that should be list pulling history. It should be available on list pulling history.
Okay, perfect. So every time that you go through, you're going to name it, you're going to put your information, and that's going to kind of come through in list pulling history. So this is our house account. So this is just something that we do in house. For folks that don't have an account, they just say, hey, I want to list, and they don't want to create an account. We still help them. So we go through our house account. But once the list is there, you basically click download, and you have the data. So whatever you want to do with that data. Now, Justin, do you recommend any of your students to use a specific or particular CRM or anything of that nature?
That's a great question, and I use Trello.com myself. Some people are like, "Oh, well, I was looking for something with all the bells and whistles." Well, that's cool. There's no perfect CRM out there, y'all. Okay, there's just not. If you found the perfect one, you better let us all know.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Yeah. And I know a lot of folks use Podio, and Podio can be pretty customized. It's very robust. There's a lot of there's a lot of premium Podio platforms out there, that folks are using, but they can get pretty pricey. A pretty cost-effective one that I've found that I like, it has a lot of good follow-up systems, is a platform called LionDesk. And I generally like their feel, their look of the platform. They have a really good drip campaign, meaning follow-up systems. If you put someone in and you had a conversation, if it didn't go well, it'll automatically follow up with them every 30 days, 60, 90, so on and so forth. And you have the ability to customize it even further. So I like it because of that. It's very, very effective. A lot of agents use LionDesk, but being more in the investing space, it's a little bit different. But they have some other built-in tools as well, like video, email. They do the ringless voicemail. They have an auto dialer, all that different stuff. But those are more premium tools you got to add on to, the cost. So just kind of keep in mind. But it's a very well-built platform. It has a lot of bells and whistles. So if you're looking for something more robust, I believe they start at $25 a month, and I think they go up to $49 a month. So added cost, but it may help folks who want to stay organized. So.
You guys ready for the lightning round? The lightning round. I've got a lot of chat here, guys. Number one, somebody said, where do we sign up for the program? It's www.theautomatedrei.com. www.theautomatedrei.com. Okay. Don't just go in there and do automatedrei.com. It's theautomatedrei.com. Okay, guys. All right. So Janet, she also said that she noticed that you can go in and you can test. You can do data counts in certain markets, scrape different areas. You can decide what zip codes or what areas or how many areas you want to do before you pull the trigger and spend money. And that is so true, Janet. Absolutely true. Very, very good for doing that type of marketing research. Nathaniel Wilson said that the system is great. He got leads the first day he used it. Hey, thank you for that, Nathaniel. Again, what comes with the tier levels, the 3 tier levels for the skip tracing? Is that just quality of data? Tier 1 is the least quality. Tier 3 is the best quality.
Yeah, and actually, I'll break it down. So tier 1 is generally a 40 to 60% append rate. So it's much lower in overall quality. And usually, you know, you get around 1 to 2 phone numbers on that tier 1, and it's around 10 to 20% of the time we'll pull an email address as well. So that's something we can solve. You can make a request on tier 1, and we can have that done for you within really a couple minutes. It doesn't take long, because that's using a batch skip tracing type tool. But it's very, very limited. It doesn't do like a deep skip trace. You know, it's just taking surface level data pretty much. But that is, you know, again, 40 to 60% append rate, usually 1 to 2 phone numbers, and 10 to 20% of the time that's an email. So that's 2 cents. Bumping up to 3.5 cents, that's tier 2. So again, we go through Ben Verified. Now, Ben Verified takes a little bit longer, generally 24 to 48 hours for us to do that. And the reason for that is because we have to actually go through and manually process those listings one by one. Okay, so we have an off-market or an offshore team that takes care of all of our processing for us. And what that really looks like is you're getting multiple phone numbers and generally 1 email address with that. Okay, and you're usually going to be getting around 70% plus append rate on that, and usually 3 to 5 phone numbers is what we typically see on that tier 2. So it's really good quality data. It's using premium search tools to do that. And then tier 3, that's IDI core. You know, again, credit bureau quality. So what you're looking at is up to 7 phone numbers. You're usually getting 2 email addresses in most cases, and an append rate is really strong, usually around 80+%. So it's very, very high quality data. You pay a little bit more, but you're definitely stepping up, to that Rolls Royce of data. So if you want to make sure that you're getting the most deals or spending your dollars as far as you can, you usually get a better value by paying a little bit more on that. So that's what I recommend most folks to stick with. But if you are on a budget, I would probably bypass tier 1. I would definitely at least look at tier 2. And if you can afford tier 3, I'd say go tier 3.
All right. Great answer. Great question. And thank you for asking that. You can use hyperlinks. This is another question from YouTube. Thank you, Ezra. Hyperlinks can be used in the text messages that are outgoing. Is that correct?
If you want to go over that.
No, we don't recommend putting like direct website links or URL into the message, because the messages you are sending through our platform that are basically marketing platforms. So carrier really don't like that. So if they see or they monitor that you are sending too much websites URL into your message, they would just block your delivery. So
Okay.
But even if you let's say if you still want to send out URLs or website links into your messages, you can still do that. But in that case, do not send more than 30 texts per number per day. So that means if you have 1 phone number, you have purchased 1 phone number from our platform, you can only send max 30 texts per day per numbers.
For the hyper, just and again, that specifically include those hyperlinks. You can send more texts if you're not sending hyperlinks, so don't get that confused. It's just the carriers being Sprint, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, US Cellular, etc. Whomever is that underlying carrier, they have very specific anti-spam filters within their system. Okay.
Different carrier have different type of algorithm. Every carrier have different algorithm. So sometimes some carrier might not block the hyperlink, but some might do that. Some might 50% of, some might block 50%, or some might block 20% of the messages, and some might block 100% of the messages.
So it's very sensitive, and that's why we integrated the variable
Yeah,
text
my-
messaging with, where you can insert the names, insert the addresses. It's always a different name. It's always a different address. So if you use that, you're usually going to be pretty good. But if you're adding those links, I don't know if there's a tool out there that changes hyperlinks. I don't know if that matters at all to see if have you noticed that. So like, let's say someone had a particular website and wanted to send a hyperlink, the same hyperlink. We already know that's going to get blocked. What if they could send that hyperlink and generate 1,000 different hyperlinks and send always a different hyperlink? Would that matter, or do we know that?
No, that they would still block it, and
Okay.
they would still block the hyperlink. But
Okay.
you can do what there's a way you can do that. I mean, let's say if the link is you want to send like www.justin.com. So don't put actual do not, don't put actual dot instead of dot. Put like bracket dot bracket like there is a way, but that
But direct hyperlinks will get you.
yeah.
Get you blocked.
You got to be a stud in order to pull it off. Let's just lay it out there like it is. You got to be a stud. If you're not a stud, don't attempt this. Okay, this hyperlink shit, don't try it. All right,
Yeah,
just go straight. There's nothing wrong with just being boring. Okay.
Hey, Michael, can I still ask another question?
Yeah, absolutely, Rick. Go ahead.
When you do the skip trace and the results come back, do you separate what's a landline as compared to a mobile number? Is that kind of clarified on the list that comes back that it's a mobile device?
Yes, we do that. Yes, we do that. So there will be a separate columns for landline, and there will be a different columns for a cell number. So let's say if you pull a tier 3 skip tracing, so landline numbers column would be labeled as landline, and the cell number column would be labeled as wireless. Cell number column would be labeled as wireless, and landline would be labeled as landline.
Okay, does it usually come back not scrubbed, or is there an option to scrub it as well against the do not call registry?
Yeah, great question. So currently we don't scrub those. Now, as far as going through the do not call registry and adding a layer of that, we actually, Tusif and I just had a call about that together yesterday. And there's a really, really good company that we're going to be adding to our platform. It's called Blacklist Alliance, and a lot of other premier texting platforms and just platforms in general are using Blacklist Alliance. So if you Google Blacklist Alliance, basically what they do is they're going to take your list of phone numbers. First of all, they're going to run it through the do not call. Okay. They'll automatically filter out everyone on do not call. And then what they'll do is they'll run it through what's called a pre-litigator scrub. And a lot of folks out there that are getting unwarranted calls and things of that nature, they're starting to file lawsuits, right? They're starting to say, hey, someone is taking it too far. However, there's some folks that are willingly inviting these particular unwarranted calls, right? And they're basically making a business out of it. And so they're trying to create multiple different offenses, create multiple different lawsuits. And so they're working with attorneys, and these attorneys are basically saying, all right, we can bill, or we can fine this particular company up to, I don't even know, $10,000 per offense, right? But here's what we'll do is, so we'll hit them 10 times. So let's say they called us 10 times, or they texted us 10 times, or whatever, right? What we're going to do is we're going to take that, we're going to file a lawsuit, and then we're going to call them up, and we're going to settle with them for 20% of that number. So they don't even want the whole $100,000 fine. They just want to settle it and get it off the books and be done with it. So that's what Blacklist Alliance basically will allow you to avoid, is anyone who's ever filed a lawsuit, or has ever, if their phone number is related to anyone who's ever filed a lawsuit, it will automatically scrub it out further. So that's something that we are adding to the platform. But right now, I recommend check out Blacklist Alliance. Here in the future, we will be, allowing our users that option if they want that, that further protection. We'll go ahead and do that for you as well.
That's cool. Thanks, man.
We've got a real quick. What's the source for expired listings on the list building tab?
So we are using the same kind of data source that ListSource uses, okay, which is a company called CoreLogic. So CoreLogic provides their data to basically every single major list player out there. So ListSource is actually owned by CoreLogic, but CoreLogic sells their data to PropStream. They sell their data to RealFlow. They sell their data to connected investors. All those different platforms that are out there that do lists. They're all really getting it from CoreLogic. So we have access to that same data.
Okay. All right. We have a Zach in the Zoom room. Welcome, Zach. You got your hand raised.
Hold on, Zach.
Well, what would you like to share with us here, Zach?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
I hear you now, sir. Welcome.
Yep.
Okay. Hey, Michael, on the text on the platform, when you're texting, can you have a conversation with the lead via text, or is it basically you send out one text and you can kind of get one response? Can you respond to their response? What's the interactivity on the texting part of the platform?
Yeah.
And can you only do it while logged in? Let me tag that on. That's another question someone asked. Can we do both at the same time?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when you're sending out your initial text, whatever that message sounds like, they're going to respond. You'll have an opportunity to go back in there and reply. So if you want to have, a continuous conversation, that's something that we do support. We do recommend, as soon as possible, once you have someone that's interested, I always try to recommend getting that off the platform, picking up the phone and calling them, because that's a really hot, really hot lead. I know Justin would agree with that as well. But yes, in the short term, you can absolutely, have a conversation with that, prospect. Absolutely.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking. Appreciate it.
Michael, I got another question.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we were wanting to put together a super high quality list for, potentially for wholesaling and or for wholesaling lease options using your list pulling service, what would be the parameters that you would suggest adding to that list, and just based on your experience with other investors who have been successful with it?
So I want to go ahead and rephrase that and just make sure I understand. So if you are looking at both, first of all, you're looking at both doing lease options and wholesaling, is that right?
Yeah, but the bottom line is I'm looking to create a super high quality list. So like you had mentioned earlier, if I was looking for an absentee owner and with 50% equity or more, would that be a good list, or are there other combinations of list stacking that you would recommend that have been successful with other investors?
Yeah, and Justin, if you want to help me with that one as well, basically I create guns, I create ammo, I give those to folks, and however they choose to use them is really up to them. So I don't really get involved so much with, hey, this is a really a really great list because of X, Y, and Z. I generally will default that to whomever that person requesting data wants. I usually say, hey, check with your mentor, or hey, ask whomever is helping you in your business as that. If you want to call them a mentor, if you want to call them a friend who's successful in the business, I always default to saying, hey, check with that particular person, because they're going to be the ones that wants you to follow a certain path, right? it would be really fiscally irresponsible for me to try and give you away if you have that particular person in your life. So, Justin, being that James here is on the platform, I don't know if he's one of your students. How would you recommend him to pull those lists? Is there anything in particular that you go over? Any specific list type that you want them to pull? I don't know if you have those.
I love working expired listings. Okay, that's just my personal opinion. All right. I love tired landlords. So I will pull houses that have high equity, that have been owned for 10 plus years. Okay. Those are tired landlords. Those are just a couple really good hot lists that you can grab that are not the normal vacant absentee owner that everybody's buying from List Source or wherever. So, I like to cater business to people though, too, like everybody's different, what your objective is, where your market is, all those things are important, but those are a couple hot lists that I like to work.
A lot of folks too, come to mind, have really been targeting pre-foreclosures too. Now it's a little bit more difficult on, on the lease option side if you don't have money to make up their back payments. But I know a lot of folks have been getting in and kind of selling subject to deals to investors. So whatever their back payments are, you can get 15, 20, 20% or so down from an investor on an actual deal like that, where someone's in pre-foreclosure, their back payments are $10,000. Maybe the house is $100,000 house. Well, you can still sell that particular deal to a landlord who's willing to pay 15% down to buy that house or 20% down to buy that house. That can make sense. Now, I don't know if Justin goes over that stuff, but I know there's some other, like a guy I follow on YouTube named Sean Terry. He really pushes, getting those pre-foreclosure deals under contract and selling them on to, other investors, on those subject to wholesaling is I think what he calls it. And that's a really good additional income stream. So if you're able to really capture all of those different types of deals, which is it's great that you're looking at both wholesaling and lease options, which is of course a hybrid form of owner finance. You should be able to maximize your opportunities. So that's kind of what I recommend. And again, agreeing with Justin there, absolutely.
Okay.
I've got a question here. This might be the last one. I know we've been here for a while, and maybe we need to tag on another session like this, because we still have people popping up in the Zoom room like we just got started, man. Like, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to do a Black Friday marathon, 24 hours of the automated REI. Steve, you've got the first 16 hours. Michael, you've got the next 4 after that, and then I'll take the 4 after that.
Starting now.
Okay. Is there a way to tag responses, text responses from homeowners, so that you can, or sort them so you can download them later from the system, just the ones that you want to work with? Is there any organizational system? And I believe I know the answer to this one, and but I'm gonna let you guys handle that.
So I want to make sure I understand that. So if you send out your text, now you have all your replies come in. So your question is there can you organize that based on a specific reply?
I think the question is, once the lead responses come back and they're compiled on the spreadsheet type, format, is there a way that you can star the ones that you've looked at, or check mark the ones that you've called, or annotate them in some fashion to let you know? So in other words, they're trying to bring in the CRM question is really what it's starting to amount to, because everybody's looking for a way to, what's a better way to because honestly, if I've got 250 responses, or let's say I sent out 250 texts and I've got 100 responses, and I go through and here's a no and here's a yes and here's a no and here's a maybe and here's a yes and a yes. Okay. And then, here's one that popped in. Here's one that popped in that was kind of late. Is there a recommended methodology for kind of handling some of that? What's your opinions on that?
To Steve, if you want to kind of take that particular question, I know you've been working a lot with the potential organization. I know we've done certain things with that, but if you want to kind of go over it.
Yeah, so that's basically a CRM type question. So that would be a CRM feature. It's not, we don't have that at the moment. So you can't organize or you can't check your messages like that. If you download the list, it would you would get all the list. There would be no, maybe, and yes, there would be all, but you cannot organize the list at the moment. But yes, we are actually working on that CRM where you can organize your messages on the base of responses. You can filter out the no's, you can filter out the yes, and you can filter out the maybes. Yes, but not at the moment.
Okay.
I just want to say, but you guys realize something, that when they add the for sale by owner scrape, when they add the CRM where you can annotate each lead response, when they add this other bell, this other whistle, it's going at some point to start costing you money, guys. Okay. They're giving this shit away. All right. And so you got to be grateful for what it is. It doesn't answer. It's not like the answer to all of your real estate problems forever and ever, but it is an awesome way to generate leads on the cheap. So, don't, I'm not saying anybody's doing this, but just don't take it for granted, guys, because it's an awesome opportunity. And if you're not in the doorway with it right now, you are making a mistake. Okay. Just go over there, take a tour, sign up, theautomatedrei.com. Take a tour, get to know it. If you're not in the one-on-one coaching with me, join the VIP at realestatewholesalersclub.com and get in the chat room with these guys. We're all there. And we're there to help and answer questions, and we're there to talk about automated REI and anything else. So, just some options for you. Any other questions before we wrap this one up? Woo! Put it in the can.
Real quick, Michael.
Yeah.
Is the list pull max? I'm still a little confused on if the list pull max is 500, like that you can download at a time, but the total is 900. How to get the other 400?
So are you referring to Craigslist, or I'm sorry, are you referring to Zillow?
Yes.
Okay. So to answer that, basically Zillow has what's the term for it? It's more of a limitation on Zillow.com. So like if I pull up Zillow.com, and actually I might as well just do that right now, Zillow.com.
And I can reach out to you separately if this is going to make the video too long here.
Well, I think what you're talking about is answered by way of filtering and doing several scrapes per price range. Is this correct? Is that where you're going, Michael?
And absolutely, because if you go on to Zillow.com, and if you guys can see my screen here.
Wait a minute. I'll have to share it again, man. Share your screen again. There you go.
Okay.
There we go.
So if you guys are looking at my screen, so I just typed in Springfield, Missouri.
I see me.
Yeah. I typed in Springfield, Missouri here, and it gives me 1,119 results. So naturally, if you're on Zillow, okay, I have 1,119 on this particular map. However, if you scroll down on Zillow, you'll see a limitation of only 20 pages. Okay. And I think it's 20 pages, and in each of these 20, I believe this particular grid, right, only shows, I think, 25. So that's kind of basically taking 25 times 20. And basically, if we're looking at that particular number, that's where we get our limitation of, oh, you can only do 500. So to get more, and again, exactly what Justin said, you have to kind of go through and filter it out for smaller search types. So 2 bedrooms on one search, 3 bedrooms on another, specific square footage, specific price ranges. And I know we have talked about trying to allow users to maximize the pulls on that, to see if, I know we had a conversation about that. Was there any particular strategy you wanted to go over on that real quick?
I mean, currently there's only a manual way they can filter out. They can use pricing filter, so they can subdivide their scrapes. So let's say they've, instead of just inserting a location, they can make a price filter, so they can go for like $0 to $100,000 for their first batch, and then they can, for the next batch, they can put like $100,000 to $200,000, and for the third batch they can put 200,000 to 300,000, and they can also narrow it down using the bedroom filter, so they can put like maximum 2 to 3 bedrooms, and then 3 to 4 bedrooms, like that.
And you can kind of manipulate that list a little bit to make sure you get all of the potential listings. That's exactly right. So yeah, that's what I would do if you're looking to capture all of those.
Awesome. No, that's an easy workaround. Thank you so much.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
that's a gold nugget, man.
Definitely.
Gold nugget.
Oh, it
Yeah.
is, man. It is. And actually,
It is.
we've had those questions in the past, and it's good that you put it out here.
Yeah. Any more questions, guys? Anything else while we got these people here? They've dedicated their entire morning to us here, so let's take full advantage of it. Any last questions? Man, I'm so thankful. Go ahead, speak up if you've got one, but I'm so thankful for everybody here. I mean, the Zoom room is packed. YouTube has a fair number of watchers still at this point. Okay. Facebook as well. We've had a lot of people check in and some have checked out, but man, thank you everybody. Gosh, you make me feel so good. You make me feel so loved and supported. And I want you to know I love you too. And check us out over here at the realestateWholesalerSclub.com and get some more free love. Okay. And get started. Get started right away. All the things, the money, that's an excuse, guys. There's ways to do it. So plug in.
Partner with someone, man. If you only got $25, someone else got $25 too. You guys can partner up, get that 50. Whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
This is a great club, man. I know it's still pretty new, but Justin, you've done a great job with it. Here on Facebook and everything, and YouTube, and kind of building it up. It's grown pretty fast, man. And I've been very impressed with the content you put out, and of course investing in yourself with Claude, and kind of bringing that education to your students with the gut sales method and everything. It's been phenomenal. Just to kind of and of course I've known you since prior of you getting that training, and now I've seen your personal development, and it's awesome to watch, man.
Well, thank you, dude. Thank you. It means a lot to hear you say that. I appreciate that very much. And I've started this business with no money, none, in debt. Didn't know how I was going to pay the rent the first of the month coming up. And I've restarted this business many, many times. because I spent it all. And so I've restarted it with no money. Guys, the money thing it's bullshit. Okay. You can do automated REI for $100, start your marketing, get it all going. Coaching is affordable. Okay. Everything is at your fingertips if you really want it. And you know what you're missing? I was going to come up with a new program, guys, and I was going to call it Get the Eye of the Tiger. You're missing the eye of the tiger, guys. That's what it is. You go watch Rocky. I think it's Rocky 2, and get that eye of the tiger. You know, get it. That's the only thing standing between you and where you want to be. I promise you that. Everything else is just circumstantial, temporary bullshit. It's easily overcome. All right. Any more questions? Last round, last time, last offer. Going once.
All right, one more
from Rick. Holy shit.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
No, man. Hey, I'm having fun. Let's do it. What you got?
So on another platform, I have to manually put in when I send out a text, because I don't know if it's the actual owner, I'm leaving off the street number and I'm only putting the street name. Like, hey, this is Rick. I believe you own the property on Jones Street. Would you be interested in selling it? Is there a way to do that automatically, removing the address and just importing the street name to put that in a text? I haven't found it. I'm just asking you if that's possible, because I'm doing it manually right now, just for my own personal reason.
Gotcha. It's a good point. To see, are we doing it like that, or do we throw the number in there? I think it's a little bit of both, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, that's a great question, but it's good that he has shared with me right now. We can do that. We can definitely do that. We can make a filter like that, which can just remove the street number, and it will only insert the street address, but not at the moment.
Wonderful. Yeah, no, I'm just finding it. I get good response from people, and I'm not throwing out their address to the unknowns. So.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So that I'm glad that you just let me know.
We can get that implemented.
Definitely, we can make that work. Yeah.
I got one more question for Michael and or Tusif. Is it possible in the SMS campaign history to not have to scroll left and right, or to be able to kind of permanently make the columns less wide, so I don't have to scroll every time to go to the other side of the
Yes, it is possible. It is definitely possible. I will hopefully that will be done within next 24 to 48 hours, and thank you for letting me know.
Thank you.
Gotcha.
We will make the adjustment.
Excellent.
Again, you cannot be at any other club where you can tell the guy, like, you think you're gonna call PropStream? Hey, try calling up a Deal Machine app and say, hey, let's get on a live Zoom Q&A where I'm gonna give you some fucking suggestions on how you can improve. Okay, not gonna happen, y'all. But it happens right here. I'm so stoked about it. Any last thing? I didn't mean to cut you off, James.
Oh, that's fine. I'm used to it.
Okay, guys. Hey, I love you guys. Thank you for being a part. Check us out at realestatewholesalersclub.com. Go over, before you do that, though, make sure you go to theautomatedrei.com and sign up. Okay? You know what they're going to ask you for? They're not going to ask you for your credit card number right away. Okay? They're going to let you have a free tour. They're going to let you get to know how all of it works a little bit, do some data counts, check your market area, all that. Then you can, and when you're ready to go, add some money to your wallet. Bada bing, bada boom. Leads on demand. I love that.
Right.
Hey, it's an answer to prayer for me, y'all. As a real estate coach, it's like, okay, I have students that are like, hey, how do we get leads? Oh, man. I'm so thankful for you, Michael. I'm so thankful for you too, Sif. I'm so thankful for the automated REI. Hey, next week is Thanksgiving. I'm debating whether or not we should have a session. I'll let you guys kind of let me know what you think. But at any rate, if I do or don't talk to you next week, I love you. Have a safe holiday. And thank you for being here, Michael. Thank you for
You're
being here,
welcome.
2C.
Thank
Thank you,
too, Steve.
everybody.
Thanks, Justin,
Thank
and
you.
everyone
Thank you.
else for being on here.
Everybody,
Really appreciate it.
Rudolph, everybody, man, there's just too many people to name off. Hey, God knows I wish I could. There's just tons of people. I love you. Thank you. And
Thanks,
we'll talk to
everyone.
you. We'll talk to you
guys.
soon.
Great call. Really
Yep.
good.
Take care, guys. All right.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.